welcome. We got another video here, another episode installing the Kingdom Talks. I got here with me my little cousin AJ,
Yeah,
and today we are going to talk about before and after the BU 4-point plan program. So before we get into that, AJ, just kind of introduce yourself, tell them who you are, give them your age and grade, and let them know what you want to be in life.
so my name's AJ. I'm about to be 16 in like a month. Uh, I play football. I'm I'm a junior currently now. Uh, and I wanna cover businesses and play professional football.
Bet, bet. So you finna be 16. You said you're gonna be a junior, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So far, you know what I'm saying, you started your first two seasons off, you know what I'm saying, with a squad, and now you are transitioning, correct?
yeah.
All right, so you're going to a new school and you have an opportunity as a junior year to start potentially, you know what I'm saying, just based on the dynamics of this new school. But also, you know what I'm saying, you are academic inclined, you're doing well in the classroom, so you got your chance to start taking your ACT or SAT, whichever one is most approved in the state. So how do you feel about this new transition?
Honestly, feel like it's a better opportunity because the squad was not really the best. Especially like people on the team wise, they weren't really as what's it called? What's the word for it? Like they weren't really as devoted to trying to get better each day, and they was kind of just doing whatever on the game every single day. They weren't trying to train. They weren't trying to do nothing. So I'm going to a school where they're trying to win. They're not a crazy winning team, but they're gonna win some games. There's some boys on there that are training. They got some offers. So yeah, and then I think it's just gonna be like better opportunity. I'm obviously gonna have to train for the spot and actually work for it, but I'm fine with that. I do as much work as I can to get that starting spot and just a bigger opportunity, bigger school, and I'm just ready to work.
Okay, I bet. So when we first met, we met back in February. I started a 6-week program to BU 4-point plan. Um, you were in a phase in your life, I remember, you were kind of still dealing with your own personal things, and you were kind of losing your passion for the game, so to speak. You were kind of lost in a sense, due to your own personal reasons. um Kind of speak to that, like kind of speak and tell like the people, like, where were you mentally, kind of, give more detail to where you were when we first got together in the beginning of that 6 weeks mentally.
So when we got together, uh, I was just kind of lost. Didn't really want to. It was like months and months where I just didn't even go train. I mean, I didn't. I mean, sometimes I would go work out, but it wasn't as often. Before a bunch of stuff happened, I would go train every single day and stuff like that. But then, a bunch of stuff started happening, and then I started just stop training. I'll probably go out and train in, like my backyard maybe once or twice, maybe like every 4 weeks, and then just go out there slowly uh, and then during the season we had a 0-10 season, so there was just a bunch of times where I'm just like, why am I even playing this game? It's like it's getting boring, and I'm keep losing, and it's not. No one wants to be honest. A bunch of people are quitting. We had like 40 people to start. It ended up with like maybe 15, and so there was no one who really wanted to play except those little 15 people that stayed. So half the time they didn't even want to win. Had a bunch of injuries, like maybe four seniors on the
Mm.
team. Uh, then I got a concussion, so I had to be out for like 2 games or 1 game, and I kind of just sat there and was like, well, it's kind of messing up what I could have done. 'Cause I know I had, bunch of time to go out and show out, but I couldn't. So I had to sit on the sideline and started losing a little bit more passion. Uh, I had maybe I had maybe like 2 good games at the end of the season. Um, One of them I almost had 100. There was like some college coach there. He was like, "Oh, you could have like 4 touchdowns," but I kept running around doing stuff. And and then yeah, I mean that was 1 game, but I was the only one who scored that game. And our rivalry game, we got blown out badly. And we just lost like everybody, so we just had to bring that up the freshmen. And then I did track for a little bit. Then I started losing a lot of weight, and yeah, I just started losing like a bunch of my passion for the sport and stuff.
I feel that. I feel that. So you're in a space where you're in high school, of course. You're dealing with a lot of personal things. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to navigate that. And you're also dealing with injuries. You're dealing with, an environment that's not necessarily going to produce a winning attitude. The players around you aren't necessarily as devoted as you are. The passion may not be there. The competitive edge may not be there. So you're dealing with all of these things at once, right? And then you get into this program. And like what I want to ask you first was right off the bat before we get into what the program, any of the specifics, did the program help you with any of what you were dealing with? And then in what way did it help?
So the program, the program. Well, first make me uh it made me a lot more better with time management. So like one thing we learned was like taking notes and stuff like that, or like trying to schedule stuff. So I use that a lot more often now to, find more time to do things like schedule like days and stuff like that. Or when I'm going to the gym, like schedule like what time I got to do stuff, when I got to do it, uh, what type of workouts I'm doing, what time I got to train after the gym, uh, and like set up actual solid schedules so I'm not just inside doing nothing all day. And after learning all that, it kind of after doing that first, it started kind of changing my mindset about really the sitting there just doing nothing, or the the feeling of like the sport, because then I started getting a little bit more motivated and actually wanted to keep training and keep going, because I know at the end of the day it's going to lead to something, and not just like sitting there and doing nothing and maybe thinking I'm gonna get by just because my athletic.
Okay, okay. So it helped you with time management. It helped you plan better. And then with that planning and time management, it starts to change your mindset. And I think you hit on pretty much all 3 points of Kingdom of Dreams and that BU 4-point plan is to get the youth, the next generation, to become more intentional and more clear about their goals and the plan to achieve that goal. So we understood early on what you wanted to be. You know what I'm saying? You wanted to have these businesses. You wanted to make it to the pros. You wanted to be one of the greatest to ever do it. So we talked about, okay, this is what you want to be. But week one was about, you know what I'm saying? I want you to kind of talk about week one. Week one was about self-assessment. So kind of tell people like, what did I have you do in week one and how did, can you hear me? All right. So we got part two. If y'all watched the first installment, y'all already know what it is. This is Kingdom Talks. It's your boy 3-2. I got my nephew with me, Justin. Justin. So he also was the second participant, as I mentioned in the last video, that went through that 6-week program with AJ. Um, he wasn't able to make the call with AJ, so we got a part two. You know what I'm saying? It's always better to do two, right? So nice, got to do it twice. With that being said, like I told AJ, Justin, this is about before and after the BU 4-point plan. So with that being said, we're gonna jump right into it. When you first joined the program, I remember, you were kind of in a space where you had a lot of things going on personally as well, and you were kind of in this negative space. And you didn't necessarily know what, what your next move was. You were kind of lacking in confidence and you didn't know how to overcome your current circumstances. Uh, so I want to first ask you, how did that 6-week program help you with everything that you were dealing with?
The program helped me by like bringing my confidence up because like as I talk to y'all more, that like made me more social, like more socially like talkative and stuff. That made me like more open to like talk more and like talk more about myself. So, because before that, I wasn't really, I wasn't really talking to people. I would always just be to myself and stuff. So like, I wasn't like talkative. So as I got into the program, as I started talking more, that's when I got more comfortable with, conversations and stuff.
Okay. So in regards to like building up your confidence, you started getting more talkative. What exactly, like what specifically, like was it just talking to us or was it what we were saying? Was it the information? Was it the directions? Like what specifically got you to be more social outside of the program?
It was like the information, like it was like the more y'all told me, like embrace like the flaws you have. That's what like made me like communicate way better than I used to. Cause I used to always let my insecurities just overtake me out and stuff, which that wasn't that wasn't doing me any good. But the more I learned to just just to deal with it, that's when I started becoming better with it.
Okay. So it was the information, the instruction, and the advice to tell you to embrace what you felt you lacked. And, towards the end, we start to talk about like the change, week 4, making those small changes to become the version of yourself that you need to become in order to achieve the dream that you wanted to achieve. So before we go into, week 4, I want to go back to week 1. So week 1, let's talk about it. We get into it. It's the first week of the program. Do you remember what that week was about?
I think it was about like I can remember it was about like getting started, like talking about yourself and stuff, and getting comfortable with like you know the people like that's gonna be helping you out and stuff, like AJ and stuff, just getting comfortable with knowing them and being able to talk more, being more comfortable in general.
Okay, so you said, we kind of started talking about like getting to know yourself. So yeah, so week 1 was the self-assessment. So you remember doing like the inventory and talking about like, what you were good at and what you were bad at and the weaknesses and strengths and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Okay, bet. So what was the most profound thing for you in week one? Like, what did you learn about yourself after doing the self-assessment? Like, what was like, wow, or like what really stood out to you that you learned about yourself?
Honestly, I found out that like I'm really not as like what I think I am. Like I'm really not this person that just thinks that people are always judging me and stuff. I'm really not. Like people aren't just judging you all the time. I always thought people was always judging me when I talk and stuff. When I look at people, I think there was talk about my teeth, my acne, but really they don't really care.
I feel it. I feel it. So you really start to understand that you were self-conscious and that a lot of it was just really in your head. And you were just kind of in your head based on your insecurities, on your outer appearance.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, cool. All right, and then so in week two, we started talking about where you wanted to go. Like, what was the dream? What was the destination? And I remember you specifically. You kind of shocked me. I didn't know like what route you were going. I knew AJ. He kind of came in week one talking about sports. Well, week one, you weren't really sure. You know what I'm saying, what you wanted to do necessarily. So like, part of your homework was to really figure out what you were passionate about. And then in week two, we kind of came and we had our one-on-one that week. I think it was a Tuesday, and you were saying, I think you were in class or whatever the case may be, and your teacher had brought up how like a bunch of people had their electricity cut off just based on like the neighborhood that they were in. They weren't afforded the same opportunities as a wealthy neighborhood. And you kind of told me like based on that you wanted to become an engineer because you wanted to be able to help those who didn't necessarily have the opportunity or means to help themselves. And I really love the basis of where you was coming from because it wasn't necessarily about self, it was about people, you know what I'm saying? And when you ultimately when you choose to serve people, you're gonna get blessings. You're gonna have a very fruitful and wealthy life, you know what I'm saying? Because you're ultimately serving others. So let's talk about, that dream just a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? Engineering, like, what talk about the story with the teacher, you know what I'm saying? Kind of give detail on that. But let's really dive into like where did that come from? Where did that passion kind of originate?
Well, it basically started like in seventh grade. Really, like I had a class where like we would like make stuff, like a workshop class where we like create stuff, and that's what like kind of started like the thing like I can like creativity, like I can like basically make anything I want.
Okay, okay. All
Then,
right. Go
oh,
ahead. Keep going.
and then like in eighth grade, that's when I got to another engineering class, and that was like when we was finding out like different types, like mechanical, electrical, civil engineering. Yeah, civil. That's when we like started getting to like different types of it.
Okay, so seventh and eighth grade. So you had back-to-back years before you even got to high school. You know what I'm saying? They kind of introduced you to it and it piqued your interest because it was hands-on. You could really, like you said, make what you wanted out of it. And then you started figuring out, oh, it's different kinds of engineering. Like I can be I can specify in engineering in this one little field. So let's talk about freshman year. You know what I'm saying? Was there anything that kind of kept your interest? Oh, my bad. I didn't let you introduce yourself. Introduce yourself, tell me your name, tell me your age, and what grade
My name is Justin. I'm 15 years old, and I'm actually I just graduated freshman year. I'm going into sophomore year.
Okay, bet. So seventh and eighth grade year, you get introduced to engineering and you figure out that you like it. Freshman year, are there anything, is there a class, is there a teacher, is there a club, you know what I'm saying, that, kind of piques your interest or furthers your interest more into the engineering field, or are you just kind of at this point getting all of your interest points from outside of school?
I say like I mean this school I'm at right now. I didn't there's like no like classes for it that I tried to like get into, but like that the class where the teacher was talking about like the neighborhoods and stuff, like when everything like the power and stuff. That's what kind of like brought it back to me because I was kind of losing interest in it because I was kind of getting influenced around all the like the gang banging stuff. I was kind of getting influenced by it, but when she started bringing up, the neighborhoods and, electricity and the poor neighborhoods and stuff, that's when I kind of like started getting back to the engineering like field and stuff.
Okay, cool. So 7th and 8th grade, you get introduced. Then you kind of change schools, and that school doesn't really offer anything. It's not really talked about much. And now you're starting to kind of lose that passion. And so then the teacher kind of brings up this conversation, and it brings you back to 7th and 8th grade, I assume. And then it was kind of like from there, you lock in, and then you get into the program. You tell me like, hey, look, this is what I want to do. So like, what was that deciding factor? Was it just because of 7th and 8th grade, and that experience that you had in 7th and 8th grade that kind of locked in that decision, or like what went from I'm interested in this to what I'm gonna do this? What was the change?
I say it's always like I always been like passionate about it, but it's just the different environment I was in. It was just different things coming in that I was getting influenced by, so it pushed me away. But as I started hearing about all this, like all this power stuff, I was like, I don't want it because I know people that are poor, their powers went on and stuff. It's like that sucks to hear. I wouldn't want my power to go out. I have kids and stuff, and we're in like not so good neighborhood because not everybody has money like that, especially nowadays.
Now that's very respectable and commendable. You know what I'm saying? To even have that awareness, but then to want to be the change. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody wants to be the change. A lot of people complain about things. So let's kind of talk about, we get into week 2. So you want to be an engineer. All right, bet. So then we go into week 3 and we do the reverse engineering, and we talk about the different steps that we have to take, what I'm saying, from being an engineer who employs those people, employs competent people who can go out and do the work, what I'm saying, so where you're not doing all the jobs, but then you also are in a position to where you can help those because you run the company. But before you can get to running a company and employing people, you're probably gonna have to do a certain amount of time under somebody. Before that, you're gonna have to get licensed and certified. Before that, you're gonna have to go to some type of schooling. Before that, you're gonna have to get, at least a high school diploma, if not some type of college credits, whatever the case may be. So we went all the way back, what I'm saying, and went through all of those different steps. Getting your LLC, and if you want to be an S corp, C corp, getting your different registration, what I'm saying, solidifying yourself and registering yourself under the correct entity type. We talked about all the different things, the insurance and all this stuff. Tell me what was the most fun part of breaking down the steps? What did you enjoy the most?
Like the steps into like building up to it. Like, it's not, you can't just, hop into the career field thinking that you can do everything. Like, you got to build it up first. You got to get this, you got to get that. You got to figure out how stuff works. Can't just, go in there thinking you know everything when you really don't.
Nah, that's facts. That's facts. Now, and I think like that's one of the things, like, and I told AJ this too, like, y'all really took in the information. Y'all didn't like, y'all had questions, what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna say y'all didn't challenge it, but y'all were very receptive and very easy to give the information to. And it was like, once y'all got the information, y'all ran with it. So it's like, once I kind of told y'all, like, look, it's gonna require some things. And you're gonna have to be humble, and you're gonna have to sit up under somebody for a little time, and you're gonna have to be willing to learn these different things from people, and you're gonna be having to willing to go through these certain challenges. And you guys, y'all took that, and y'all were very process oriented. Y'all knew, like, okay, this is 6 weeks. Okay, we're gonna do this one step here, and we're gonna complete it. And then we're gonna do this one step here, and we're gonna complete it. And I think that attitude is really gonna serve you well going down your journey, because you have this process journey oriented mind, what I'm saying? Especially now after the 6-week program, like, okay, I gotta get this now. All right, I need to focus on this. And you've had so much quick success. Like you said, you went from, in 6 weeks, you went from being very shy and introverted to you got friends, you know what I'm saying? Like I remember, giving you the assignment in week 4 to go out and start speaking more, answering more questions in class, go up and find a random person to talk to. You didn't shy away from those challenges. You knocked them out the park and you became more sociable, like you said earlier in the call. So you are very process oriented. And I think as long as you keep that, because everything is a process, nothing is, what I'm saying, it's nothing quick. There's not, get rich quick schemes. They don't, that's not successful. It's not a efficient way to try and live. Get smart quick. It's just not. You have to go through a process. You have to be willing to go through the changes and go through those different steps that are required in order to achieve what you're trying to achieve. So I really love that, what I'm saying, you have that and embody that spirit. What I want to ask you now is, because like I said, I kind of dove already into week 4. Week 5 was just really applying the change from week 4, and then week 6 was reflect and repeat. So I didn't cover that in part 1. So just to cover that for y'all now, so y'all understand, it was a full 6 weeks. But week 5 and 6 was really just implementing that change that we discovered in week 4, and then reflecting on what worked and what didn't work, what I'm saying, in weeks 5 and 6. I'm sorry, in week 5, we applied that change from 4, and in week 6, we reflected and repeated. So that was pretty much how the program ended out. What was the most impactful week for you? You know what I'm saying? Which week was like you felt you hit or gained the most progress or got the most momentum or seen the most change? Which one of those weeks was?
It was definitely week 4. Because that's when that was when I picked up confidence. I picked up social. I was getting more into the I've been reading. I've been reading the engineer book you got me to. I've been reading it. I've been all that.
I was gonna get to it. Okay, so AJ said the same thing. Week 4 was the most impactful week for him too. And I'm really glad that was a consistent thing, because I really wanted that to be exactly that. I wanted that to be that transitional week, which is why week 5 and week 6 are not as important. I mean, they are important, because if you don't implement the change, if you don't actually apply the change, then there's no change. But it was very important for me to convey to you all, if we just make small changes, just small changes, it's not big, you know what I'm saying? It's not become Prince Charming overnight. It's not become the most smooth talker overnight. It's just taking small steps. And if you could take those small steps, you're going to gain the confidence to take the bigger leaps. The small steps are going to snowball into bigger leaps. And eventually you're going to be jumping. Then eventually you're going to be flying. Before long, you're going to be teleporting, So it's just like, I really wanted that week to be that transition week for y'all. And I'm glad that it stuck. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad that that's what it was for both of y'all. And y'all experienced it the exact same. Because again, and like I told y'all during the program, this isn't just something that you can apply to sports or to, getting your goals. This is a class, passing a class, figuring out what are you good at in that class, figuring out what are you struggling in that class, figuring out what habits do you have with that class. And then figuring out what do you actually want out of this class. Is it an A? Is it a B? Is it just passing, period? Is it having a better understanding in a specific category? It doesn't matter where you apply this system. You can apply it anywhere, but you have to get to that step 4 and really make the changes. So I'm really glad, what I'm saying? And like I said, every week I've seen the progress, what I'm saying? When we did the self-assessment, I seen how you understood the assignment and you came back and was like, hey, look, I procrastinate. I don't have the confidence. And sometimes I just really don't be feeling like it, I just don't, and you were very honest and open. And guess what that allowed us to do? That allowed us to figure out where we could possibly make those changes than before. You know what I'm saying? And you were more honest in week 2, you know what I'm saying? Oh, I want to do this. And you actually showed your compassion. So it's like, okay, this is somebody who wants to help others because he's also experienced, you know what I'm saying? He's also experienced his own life and his own, life experiences. So he wants to give back to others. He wants to put people in a better position. And then, we start talking about like, what y'all envision way past just achieving the goal, because you can achieve your engineering goal by 24. Then what? So we talked about, going all the way out to like 50. And we talked about the type of life that y'all would want to provide for y'all wife and y'all kids. And you kept illustrating the type of man that you wanted to become. So it was very easy to steer you, you know what I'm saying? And as we got to week 4, it was like, oh yeah, bro. So all I want you to do is just start small, man. Just answer some questions, find one person and just talk to them. Just spark a random question. Hey, what are you interested in? Everybody like talking about their interests. And now that you know what you're interested in, now that you have a better idea of who you are, you can talk better and talk more confidently about that. Because at first, when you barely know who you are before taking that self-assessment, before digging into who you actually are at the root, you're not confident. That's where a lot of that insecurity came from, because you didn't know who you were. You didn't understand your actual worth. Your worth wasn't dignified or signified by how you looked on the outside. It was that character that you had on the inside. It's that big heart that you have on the inside. It's that compassion for others that gives you your worth. And once you started to see that, you started to open up and transition to a whole nother person. You know what I'm saying? And it was very evident the changes that you were undergoing. You know what I'm saying? Even your nana, like, she was legit. I ain't been worried about Justin like that. Like, we ain't been talking a lot. Like, and it's because you was busy focused on your change. You wasn't stressed out about a lot of things. You weren't, you know what I'm saying? And of course, things do happen. Life always happens. But like I told you, find your happy place and keep going. Keep chasing your vision. Because it's two choices. You allow circumstances to knock you off your path, or you keep going and you achieve. Only thing getting knocked off your path is going to do is make you restart or quit. And if you quit, you never get to the dream. If you keep restarting, you just prolong it when you actually get to the dream. So again, I'm proud of you. You know what I'm saying? I can't stress that enough of how proud of I am of you and the change, the progress, and your willingness to be coached. That was very big in that 6 weeks. You know what I'm saying? And you keep that spirit up of always wanting to have the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Because again, I don't think, you know what I'm saying, neither the two of y'all are bad kids in no stretch of imagination. Life has a way of affecting us in ways in which we can be perceived in a way that's not who we truly are. But if we get the chance, if people take the time to invest in us in the right areas, in the right manner, we can achieve greatness. And like I told y'all in the beginning, the reason why I do this is because had I had a mentor that invested in me like this, man, I'd be somewhere in a top 500 company somewhere, man. I would be a million, billion, quadrillion. Because I'm a smart guy. I just didn't have anybody to guide me, keep me focused on what I was actually trying to do. So I was just that kid saying, hey, I just want to do this. But I didn't have no steps. I knew, like, oh yeah, I gotta go to college, I gotta go to the NFL, but I didn't have no real steps. I didn't have no, I need to make all pro. I need to get all state. I need to be top 500. You know what I'm saying? Even when I wanted to say I wanted to be an accountant and have my own company, I didn't necessarily go through all the steps. I need to get this MBA in accounting. I need to sit down for the CPA exam. I need to do my 3 years of public. I need to go private. I need to get my own funds so I could get my own company. I didn't think all of this through because I didn't have nobody to tell me that these things was important. So I'm glad that y'all were coachable, you know what I'm saying, and gave me the opportunity to be this for y'all. And I'm even more glad that the change is clear. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad that y'all really took this and ran with it. So your most impactful week was week 4. Now what I want to ask you is, was the most impactful week and your favorite week the same, or was your favorite week different from the most impactful?
My favorite week was like the same week as the impactful week, because that's when everything started just coming out just normally. That's when everything just got like natural to me.
I got you. I got you. So yeah, so pretty much because of the change that you could see in yourself, that was your favorite week because you kind of started to see the fruits of your own work, fruits of your own labor.
Yeah, that's when I started like figuring out like, you know, you're not really this person you think you are, man.
Okay, okay. I love that for you, man. Keep that up for real. So my next question is, would you recommend this program? Oh, I'm sorry. Would you change anything in this program?
To be honest, nah. Like it's actually it's been helping me out. There's nothing bad about it. It's been guiding me to better to better my life.
I bet. I appreciate that. The next question is, would you recommend this program to anybody else?
Oh yeah, 100%. I've been trying to get my friends on here and stuff, but they've been like they got like summer school, so like they've been trying to find time to like try to like find some time they could like get into this more.
Hey, well, you got my number. You can give it to them. You know what I'm saying? If their parents got any questions, you know what I'm saying? You can tell them that their parents can hit me up. Just make sure they leave a text message with their name because I don't answer phone numbers that I don't know. So text me first with the name and then I call them. I'll follow up with a call.
I mean, one thing I do need to keep working on though is like talking more slower because I kind of talk like a little fast. Yeah, I gotta work on that too.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong. Look, you got the system now. You know what I'm saying? The whole point of the 6 week program was to show y'all that the system works and to give y'all all the steps that y'all needed so that y'all can keep implementing it no matter what. So anytime you see something that you don't like in your life, anytime you see something about yourself that you don't like, you now have the ability to make the effective change to better yourself, to become the person that you want to become in order to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So whatever it is, if you want to work on slowing down and just being more enunciating your words more, you know what I'm saying? So people can understand you. Because I got that same thing. I talk at 100 miles an hour. And it's because I feel like when I talk slower, I yawn more because like my brain just get bored with the words processing out this slow. So like I have to kind of talk a little bit faster just so that I can keep my mouth moving. I don't yawn that much. But whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Again, you just take that inventory and you figure out where it is you want to go or what it is you want to achieve in that specific area. Reverse engineer it, make the changes, implement it, reevaluate, and then repeat it. Like that's it's a simple formula, but it works in every area of your life. And if you keep applying it the way that you've been applying it, you keep being coachable, you keep being thirsty for knowledge. You know what I'm saying? I gave you that book because, like I told you, I wanted you to begin immersing yourself in that field so you can really figure out what specialty you wanted to go in. You know what I'm saying? And figure out whether or not it could change over time because you may be wanting to do, you may want to do one side of engineering, this year, but maybe by junior year, maybe they offer a class or maybe they offer a program where you can go learn about something totally different in engineering. And that might really pique your interest more. So I wanted to, start introducing you to different books about engineering so that one, it could teach you, oh, I can learn all this just in a book. Or even like I said, go on YouTube. There's so many videos on YouTube you can learn about different specializations in engineering, and it can take you to a place and space where you're now not just working on the 7th and 8th grade experience of engineering or the one little conversation you had in freshman year. Now you have the book perspective, you got YouTube perspective, you know what I'm saying? Maybe even, you know what I'm saying, when you get with your dad, like I said, I have a conversation with him we could figure out. I know Chicago got a bunch of stuff. Like they got Chicago, what's the school? Loyola Academy, or Loyola University. They got a great engineering program and track. So like I definitely know they got a bunch of different like little stuff you can get into for the summer or during the school year, where I'm saying, you get into different little competitions and stuff like that. So again, we'll get you what you need, what I'm saying, but we gotta first know what we're working with. And as long as you keep that communication open, what I'm saying, yeah, we're gonna keep working with you. gonna keep getting you what you need. We're gonna keep getting you, you know what I'm saying, better prepared to make better decisions to align with the goal and the dream that you want to achieve. Because you already on the right path. You know what I'm saying? You already made the change, you already made the decision, the commitment each and every week, each and every day to make yourself better. So you already ahead of a lot of people in the pack. Now it's just again staying consistent. Staying consistent. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, we're gonna beginning of July, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna start back up. You and AJ and anybody, well, you and AJ really. We're gonna do a continuation of what we already started. But like I said, any of your friends that want to join definitely can. Just give them my number, tell their parents, reach out to me via text first, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Oh, also I got like two more things to say too. I'm gonna say one thing. It's definitely the phone. If you put the phone down, you just like go out a little bit more, you will definitely start. That's when everything will that's when you get that confidence up. Because that phone's like kind of what kills everything. Because it's that social media stuff. It's not real. So it's like
talk that talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then also I'm really trying to get my friend on here because his life is like it's kind of going the bad direction. Like he over there flashing guns on IG, and his friends is getting locked up and stuff. He used to like steal take cars and stuff, but he's telling me he's trying to like change and stuff. So I'm like trying to like get him to get on here too.
Give him my number, man. Give him my number. I got him.
I'm gonna let him know.
I bet. But then my last question for you is: you got your confidence, you got your swag, you know your vision, you know where you're going and where you headed. What can we expect from Justin in the next year?
Next year, definitely, I'm picking up my grades because these B's and C's I can't do that. My GPA can't be like bad, and I'm definitely going. Yeah, I'm definitely going to fix. Talking fast. I'm gonna start. Being more fluent in my words, and I'm gonna proceed in my goals and stuff.
Okay, all right, bet. So what can I expect from the engineering side? What can we expect in the next year from engineering, Justin? We got the grades up, but what we gonna do as far as getting more involved in engineering?
Like definitely getting in more programs in it. Like probably get into like the academies and stuff. Telling my dad like I'm really interested in it because he doesn't really he knows that like I'm interested in, it, but he doesn't like really like know about it too much.
Okay, all right. So part of that next year is definitely painting a picture vividly for dad, so he can understand this is something that you really, really want to do, and then finding a program or organization that you can become a part of to find friends who are also interested in it, but also, to get more in the know of different little things. If you get a part of a program or after school program or organization, they're going to tell you about the different competitions across the world. They're going to tell you about the different scholarships you can earn just in engineering or just for going into engineering. So just getting around more people who are more aware of engineering so that you can take it to the next level. So that's definitely a goal for you, and I look forward to hearing the progress and hearing about all the great things that you now have come across and have figured out and have learned about in the field of engineering. Because you're a bright kid, man. You got a bright future. Like I said, it's your compassion and your willingness to serve others that's gonna really take you a long way. So, you got any final thoughts?
No final thoughts.
I bet. Well, Justin, it was an honor and a pleasure to have you for the 6 weeks and then to have you for this episode. I really appreciate you coming on and giving your thoughts and your feedback and allowing people to get a first person point of view of what it was like to go through the program and what it was like to actually come out of the program now that you have completed it. And of course, like they can't necessarily see you in the beginning, but hopefully, my intention was to ask enough questions or ask the right question to bring out the perspective and the change and kind of illustrate where you are now and where you're headed. So hopefully they got that from this part 2. This is the last installment of this. We will be continuing with more Kingdom of Talks, but for right now, this is it. It's your boy 3-2, and we are out. All right, Justin, I get it with you.
All right.